Malaysia and Singapore, trying to rally support before returning to Burma in early November.
There's been heated debate over the federal government's intervention into Indigenous communities in the Northern Territory. Federal Indigenous Affairs Minister Brough is demanding the resignation of the Northern Territory's Minister for Family and Community Services, Marion Scrymgour, because she doesn't support the federal government and her own party's endorsement of the legislation. Ms Scrymgour claims the plan isn't working and doesn't address the problem of child sexual abuse. Brough told me that she's out of touch.
Look, I've spoken to her on numerous occasions at both ministerial council meetings. I've also spoken to her in her home in the Tiwi Islands, as in her home community. It's not surprising she would come out with this repudiation, because she actually has been against the traditional owners of Nuyu on Bathurst Island having a right to determine their own future with 99-year leases. She was long and loud in her condemnation of that move as well. And I just find it very sad that she could say that the motivation for this is anything other than what it should be, and that is to protect children. We have to do that. It's not something we might think is a nice thing to do. It's a necessity. There are thousands of children not attending school. The jails have got 25% more people in them since the Labor government came to power. Her own government's report to the Parliament in the last few weeks has shown that the rivers of grog and drugs continue to flow. What we are doing here is dealing with these issues root and branch for the first time, and she's walking away from her own people. That is unacceptable. It's no leadership from the Chief Minister in dragging her into line, and that's why I said if she can't support her own government, then she should resign and put someone in place who's willing to protect children and do the tough things that are needed to do to give them a chance and a real opportunity in life.
She, though, is an Aboriginal woman living in the Northern Territory. How can you accuse her of being out of touch?
Well, very simply because if she listened and read what has been said in the Little Children Are Sacred report, the recent report that has just come down into the rivers of grog into the communities, what the women are saying, the NPY Women's Council and numerous other people that live in these circumstances, and look at her own statistics. 1,000 children taken away. 1,000. That is by any measure a statistic that should be abhorrent to all of us. And to say that there isn't a massive problem that needs to be dealt with, and to say the only thing you should do is to sit and consult, or to follow the recommendations of the Little Children Are Sacred report, which said 45 out of 45 communities have child sex offenders in them, but we'll have one additional policeman. That just isn't good enough.
Brough, thanks for your time.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Well, you're watching the World News Hour on SBS. Coming up, why Australia